20th Victims Compensation Board meeting. Before we begin our noticed agenda, I wanted to just take a moment to acknowledge the absence of one of our board members, Michael Tubbs, Mayor of Stockton. Mayor Tubbs was recently appointed by Governor Newsom to serve on the Peace Officer Standard and Training Commission, better known as POST. And following this appointment, Mayor Tubbs resigned his position as a member of the California Victim Compensation Board, effective August 6th. On behalf of the board and victims of California, I want to sincerely thank Mayor Tubbs for his exemplary service and wish him well as he continues to serve the citizens of California in his new position. With that, I'll call the meeting to order. Would you please call the roll?
Chairperson Richardson.
Here.
Member Shavaro.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Item 1 is the approval of the minutes for the June 18, 2020 board meeting.
Any discussion, additions, or corrections to the minutes from Member Shavaro?
Nope, I move approval.
Council, will you please call the roll?
Is there any public?
Oh, sorry. Is there any public comment? There you go. Sorry, Andrea, go ahead.
That's okay. Is there any public comment on this item?
Council, will you please call the roll?
Certainly. Member Shavaro.
Aye.
Chairperson Richardson.
Aye.
Motion passes.
The next item is public comment. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on items that are not on the agenda. As any items discussed during public comment have not been agendized, the board is not permitted to take any action on these matters at this meeting. For those on the phone, if you previously indicated your desire to offer comments during this agenda item, we will be calling on you by name or phone number. For those participating via Zoom, please raise your hand if you wish to offer comment, and we will acknowledge you and let you know when it is your turn to speak.
No one is currently on the phone.
Officer Gladhill, were we expecting any public comment today?
Yes, we were,
Yes.
but it looks like they have not called in at this time.
Actually, there was just one person admitted, excuse me.
Okay, here we go.
He's not.
Go ahead, caller.
Hello, this is Gabriel Garcia. I'm the Policy and Advocacy Manager for Youth Alive in Oakland, and I want to acknowledge that our partnership with CalVCB has been incredibly beneficial to our clients, and we've just gotten feedback on how life-changing this support can be. For these reasons, it is especially devastating when we see our clients denied because of requirements for victims to cooperate with law enforcement or have favorable police reports. And the fact that our clients can be denied for being too afraid or too traumatized to engage with a police officer at the scene of the crime or during recovery at a hospital is just way too hard for us to accept. So we introduced a bill, AB 767, that would have addressed these challenges, but the cost analysis that CalVCB submitted to legislators put the cost of this bill out of reach for us and used some unrealistic numbers that were inconsistent with previous cost analysis that we've seen. So I bring this up to say that we'd love to partner with you all to better support victims, but the cost estimates for this bill specifically make future efforts that much more difficult because legislators will rely on those numbers moving forward. So I just respectfully request that CalVCB keep that in mind when submitting analyses, especially cost estimates, that can influence our ability to go to the legislature and advocate for the increased and expanded support for victims. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. We really appreciate you calling in today and sharing your perspective and allowing the staff to hear your concerns. I saw them taking notes, and I'm sure they can follow up with that. Member Shavaro, any comments?
No, other than the controller is happy to be the co-sponsor of the legislation that he referenced. And we also had some concerns over the costs of the bill.
Understood.
Item 3 is the Executive Officer Statement, which will be presented by Executive Officer Linda Gledhill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Mr. Shavaro. First, I want to echo the chair's comments regarding Board Member Tubbs. I appreciated his support and dedication to the board and wish him all the best on the post-commission. At the June board meeting, we heard from individuals who were concerned about Cal VCB's ability to compensate victims of police violence, and I committed to coming back to the board at this meeting with an update. First, let me say that victims of police violence are able to receive compensation from Cal VCB if they have evidence of a crime, most often in the form of a police report. Now, we understand that many victims may not wish to file a police report, and so we are exploring other options. There were 2 pieces of legislation that have been introduced since the June board meeting to address this topic, including AB 767, as was referenced in the public comment. We've worked closely with Government Operations Agency and the Governor's Office to understand these measures and their potential cost, both because of increased compensation that would be paid out and increased workload. One of these bills is still active in the legislature and being heard today in the suspense committee. So we will continue to monitor that legislation as it moves forward, and we'll continue to work on this issue in the future. I also wanted to touch on a couple of other items. COVID-19 continues to affect Cal VCB in a number of different ways. We continue to telework from home while having staff come in for all necessary items. We continue to see a decrease in claims, and it is something that we are concerned about. We are going to be looking at ways to expand our outreach to get to folks who may not be able to reach our services as in the way that they would have done before COVID-19. So definitely something we want to make sure that we're there to help the most vulnerable who may be suffering right now. We do continue to see an increase in our online applications. Those have nearly doubled since COVID-19. So we do know that people are taking advantage of that service, and that's one that we look to continue to offer. We're also working with the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation to help victims who may have been impacted by the COVID-19 early release of inmates. We've added information to our website specifically for those victims in order to better assist them as they may be feeling some additional trauma right now if inmates are being released and they're victims of those inmates. In addition to the changes and adjustments due to COVID-19, I wanted to let the board know that myself and my executive leadership team have made a few organizational changes within Cal VCB to better serve victims. In mid-July, we did a small reorganization that focuses on better structuring our personnel and organization.
We're sorry, your conference is ending now. Please hang up.
Sorry, I'm going to keep going. So the reorganization was to better structure things based on organizational leads. So one of those was reconstituting the recovery revenue section to better track restitution dollars in the state, creating a policy outreach and grants division to bring together parts of our department that outreach with the community. We also brought together all of our grant functions for the first time to allow us to better administer and receive grants. And then we reestablished the senior manager auditor position and moving it to a separate division that reports directly to the chief deputy executive officer to assure proper oversight. Again, all of these changes were made with one goal in mind, which is to improve the work that we do for victims of crime. Lastly, I want to publicly thank our Deputy Executive Officer of the Information Technology Division, Gary Arston Kerslak, who is retiring at the end of this month after many, many years of state service, and the last 3 here at Cal VCB. He oversaw many technology projects, including the development of our online portal and making significant upgrades to our internal IT services. He also oversaw the Herculean task of moving us all to telework in a matter of days. And for that, I am very grateful and thankful, and I wish him the best in his retirement. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Gledhill, for that report. Congratulations to Gary on his pending retirement. And thank you for that report, especially on the changes that you're making within Cal VCB. We really appreciate your efforts as officer to provide services to the Californians, but do that in a most effective and efficient way. So thank you for your attention. With regards to comments that we received on AB 767 and your report, would it be our anticipation for the board to have an update at the next board meeting on that legislation and where that landed?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, we would really appreciate that. Member Chavarro, any comments?
Yes, I'd like to add that as an action item in case the board just decides to take a position of support.
Please note that Member
Yes.
Chavarro asked for an action to be taken. Thank you.
Item 4 is the contact update that will also be presented by Executive Officer Linda Gledhill.
Thank you. This morning we have one item for approval for the contract update. I'm asking your approval of a contract with a company called 10Up for $244,903.80 to reimagine the Cal VCB website. As we know, the website is our digital front door to many Californians across state government. And it's important for us to have it be welcoming, inviting, and also get people the information that they need quickly. This contract will help Cal VCB transform its website into one that we think is easier for victims to use. And not only that, will allow victims of any type, whether or not they're coming to Cal VCB for our services or perhaps elsewhere in state government, help find what they need. I take very seriously the fact that we are victims.ca.gov. That means a lot of people could land on our site who may need help from other state departments. It's not up to them to know which state department they need to get to. We want to be able to be there to service them. And so this work on our website will be the first step in that effort to create a victims portal for the state of California. And the current Cal VCB website, among its many constraints, is that it's based in a technology that can only be upgraded or updated by IT professionals. We want to transform it into something that's much simpler to use, easier for executives, public affairs staff to be able to manage and maintain. This is an issue that I've spent a lot of time on at previous positions, and I'm really looking forward to bringing that work to Cal VCB and showing what we can do here to help the victims of the state of California. So I asked for your aye vote. I should say, I'm sorry, I wanted to add that this is being paid for out of Cal OES grant money. It is not general fund money or restitution fund money. This is a grant that Cal VCB received in order to help the outreach. So we think the website is very pertinent to that effort.
Thanks for answering my question before I ask it. Really appreciate that. Member Chavarro, any questions?
No, I'll move approval.
Is there any public comment on this item?
Council, will you please call the roll?
Member Chavarro.
Aye.
Chairperson Richardson.
Also aye.
Item 5 is a legislative update that will be presented by Cal VCB Chief Counsel Kim Gutierrez.
Good morning. As we just heard from the executive officer, AB 767 will be heard today on the suspense file in the Senate Appropriations Committee. AB 2028 would, except for closed sessions, require that notice of a meeting subject to the Bagley-Keene Open Meeting Act include all writings or materials provided for the notice meeting to a member of the state body. The bill will be heard today on the suspense file in the Senate Appropriations Committee. Also, since the last board meeting, SB 74, the Budget Act of 2020, was signed by the governor. It transfers $23.5 million from the general fund to the restitution fund. Provisional language also specifies that upon order of the Director of the Department of Finance, the amount available for transfer may be increased by an amount sufficient to backfill the restitution fund if a determination is made that revenues are insufficient to support the California Victim Compensation Board. Finally, SB 417, Cal VCB's Erroneous Conviction Claims Bill, was also signed by the governor. it appropriated $5,087,040 from the general fund to pay 7 erroneous conviction claims approved by the board. And that concludes my update.
Member Shapiro, any questions or comments?
No.
Okay. It's my understanding that item 6, Joshua Gonzalez, at the request of the Attorney General's office and good cause appearing therefore, this item has been continued to the next board meeting, which is going to be September 17th. So with that, the board will now convene into closed session pursuant to the Government Code Section 1126C3 to discuss numbers 1 through 103 of the Victim Compensation Program. Board members will now close out of their Zoom call and we will proceed with our closed session and then we will come back. Thank you. Okay, looks like we're all back. The board is reconvening into open session pursuant to Government Code Section 11126C3. Do I have a motion for numbers 1 through 103 of the Victims Compensation Program?
Yes, I move staff recommendation on all items.
Council, will you please call the roll?
Member Shavaro,
Aye.
Chairperson Richardson,
Chair is also aye.
motion passes.
Is there any other business that needs to come before the board? Seeing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move adjournment.
Council, will you call the roll?
Member Shavaro,
Aye.
Chairperson Richardson,
Also aye.
motion to adjourn is passed.
The next meeting is scheduled to occur on September 17th. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for
Thank
attending.
you.
Thank you.
See you next time.